Welcome to Becoming Limitless for another, what promises to be an amazing episode. Today I have Dr. Nia with me. I'm very excited about this one. Dr. Nia is a clinical hypnotherapist, and we're going to explore today the connection of our physical world to what happens in our brain a little bit, something that I'm particularly excited about. And you know that this show is specifically a voice for the region with people from the region, something that will connect us all together when it comes to our journey of well-being. So today we're going to discuss a little bit on hypnotherapy, Dr. Nia's journey, and maybe just open up about a few things that I've been going through recently. Welcome, Dr. Nia.
Thank you, Dr. Ali, for having me.
I appreciate it so much, you being here. Very excited.
No, likewise. Super excited to have this conversation.
And especially seeing your reactions with some of the tools that we used.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about those.
No, likewise.
So tell me a little bit about what you do in your clinic.
Okay, so the clinic that we have, it's in JBR. It's a dental and aesthetic clinic where we primarily focus on their individual treatments, but more so from a holistic approach. So rather than just looking at it from a treatment perspective, looking at what's a little bit deeper. Mm-hmm. So especially since we're a skin clinic as well, what I strongly believe is that there's more to your skin than just what you put on top or injectables. It's very much related to your gut health because it's a direct connection, and not only your gut health but also your mental health. And we see this a lot. So a lot of people come in with issues with pimples, scars, rosacea, and even let's say psoriasis and so on. Yep. And I don't blame them because that's just how the medical industry works, where it's very much symptom-based. So here's a symptom, here's a medication, use it. But it's just designed in a way that no one really asks questions that are necessary, because to ask those questions, you need time, you need patience, and doctors don't typically tend to have that, especially if you are a good doctor. So this is where I feel the gap is in the medical industry, where we do need to go a little bit more beyond to find long-lasting results and the deeper root cause of the issues.
Awesome. I'm fascinated with hypnosis. So where does hypnosis come into this? Where do you come in when someone has a skin issue, a gut issue? Where does hypnosis come in all of this?
So the truth is, no one ever goes to a hypnotherapist as like the first solution. Yeah. People typically only find me or think about hypnotherapy when they've tried everything and nothing has worked. And then they think of, okay, what else is out there? Right. Because that's exactly what happened to me. So back a couple of years ago, I had a severe autoimmune condition called psoriasis. So it's a skin condition as well. Yes. And at the time, I guess I was 19 years old or 18 years old. And I was super insecure about, having it all over my legs and my hands. And the only treatment that I received at the time were steroid ointments. Right. Now, but the problem with that is, even though it gives you immediate results, it comes back even worse. So like after a week or so, the patches come back and it's 10 times worse. So that's when I realized, okay, I can't keep doing this for the rest of my life. So no, and that at that time, the doctors told me, unfortunately, this is the only solution and this is something you would have to manage for the rest of your life. Now, there was always a voice in me saying, this cannot be it. There has to be something more. And that's when I thought of looking into hypnotherapy, because I was already curious about it. I was like, okay, if I'm studying it, why not become my own guinea pig and see if it works? And that's when I tried it. And you won't believe me, in the span of 3 months, I completely healed my my psoriasis. Now, what does that tell you? Now, what does that tell anyone who's going through a condition like this, be it cancer, be it psoriasis, or so on? It forces you to find the root cause. And for me, the root cause was self-criticism.
Right.
Now, this is the most interesting part. The nature of psoriasis or autoimmune condition, it's your own cells attacking each other, right?
Right.
Now, that's from a microscopic biological point of view. Now, if you extrapolate it and if you look at it from an emotional and mental perspective, at that time in my life, I hated my job, had a horrible time with my parents, I had super low self-esteem. So in every way in my life, I was just completely attacking myself. Now, that was my body's way of saying, hey, wake up. Something is not right, you're not aligned, you need to fix it. So which means in those 3 months, when you stop or change a pattern or a habit that you've been doing for a very long time, naturally your body starts responding. Now, what hypnotherapy does is it allows you to, using your subconscious mind, get to the root cause and find solutions that you normally wouldn't think about. Like, logically speaking, I will never say, I have psoriasis because I hate my job.
Right.
You would never make that connection.
Yes.
But when you go into a deeper state where your logical mind is not in the front seat, your body will naturally give you insights that will make you reflect and then make changes.
Two powerful things that really, really resonate with me is that in recent years, I've discovered how powerful the psycho-emotional systems that we have and how it is almost connected to everything that we do.
100%.
Even how well you benefit from like a simple exercise. And the other super powerful thing is how impactful it is when you start shedding light on these things and when you start dealing with them. So we'll discuss trauma a little bit later on because that's something dear to my heart, and I think most people think that that's almost unreal. Like,
100%.
So what? I've gone through this; it's all good. Like I'm not a crybaby or whatever it is. But the impact of that goes unnoticed and unseen until you begin to kind of look a little deeper.
Absolutely.
So I see it on a daily basis with people with either emotional or psycho-emotional or it's just something that's happened in their past that it's manifested completely in their body. And I love how powerful the mind is in our body. And once you understand that relationship, how much more power you have yourself over your health and your general well-being.
Absolutely. And I think you said something really strong right there, which is the fact that your anything that you suppress or that you don't acknowledge or that you don't bring to light, it's energy at the end of the day. It needs to go somewhere. So you can just imagine if you could just visualize your emotions or thoughts having a form, and the minute it comes out, you kind of suppress it. The only way or only place it can go is somewhere in your body. And until it manifests, that's when you realize, okay, I need to do something about this or something is wrong.
Right.
But if you can catch it before it manifests in your body, you don't need to wait that long.
Yeah. And then you begin, as you explore these, you begin to discover so much more. Like it never occurred to me that there's something as passive trauma, for example. Like if your best friend or someone that you know experiences an accident or like a deadly disease or anything that is a major, it's not just them. The fact that you are connected to them, there's passive trauma that is passed on to you.
Absolutely.
Because now, correct me if I'm wrong, just to define trauma a little bit, trauma is your body's natural way of protecting itself, right?
Yeah.
So it takes that experience and then it tucks it away in your subconscious.
Yeah.
And it's almost not allowing your body to say, I am free of this. I am protected.
Yeah.
I don't need to hold on to this anymore because I am safe now.
Yeah.
But the whole experience of a trauma, it's actually a positive one from the way the body deals with it.
Yeah.
It's dealing with it in that way because it's a protection mechanism.
Yeah.
It
It's
is
an
not
alert,
meant
yeah.
to be harmful. Is when you hold on to it, it's when it becomes, to hold you back in so many different ways, and it could manifest in different ways in your body and other things like that.
Just to add on to that a little bit, like you said, it's also more to do with understanding your capacity, because different people have different vessels, different sizes of vessel, how much they can hold. And that's very much dependent on what they're exposed to and what comes from generational, whether it's generational, parental, what they're exposed to at an early age, which means different people's ability to handle different situations will vary. So when it's almost like pulling a string to its limits. The minute you pull a string, and if you are also being pulled, it creates the stress. Now, stress is fine, but if you cannot come back, that's when trauma happens. It's being exposed to that particular stress, but you are unable to come back to your original state.
Right.
But instead, you create defense mechanisms that become part of your identity, which isn't your authentic state.
And then you miss it completely.
Exactly.
You're no longer aware that whatever changes or adjustments that you've made, it becomes who you are.
Exactly. It's your new identity now.
And some other people may see it, but you do not see
100%.
it. So it's so interesting, that exploration, and it's something that I went through recently because I was kind of exploring my childhood. It's part of my whole biohacking journey, and I'm always on a learning journey somehow, one way or the other. So I went back and kind of looked at my childhood, and it's always a powerful thing to do.
Yeah,
I don't think I've met anyone that goes through the experience of truly looking, and being open completely about, and in general, my childhood was amazing. Like I had a very happy childhood. But then I realized there were external stuff. It's not the usual stuff that you usually hear from people, but it was the external stuff, because I was in early teenage years. I was living in Lebanon, right? So, and Lebanon with the civil war, something that is chronic. It's a very troubled area, and much like any other area that is troubled around the world, no one really escapes the trauma of having that. So one of our basic needs as human beings is safety.
Security and safety.
Safety and security. If it's not there, your body will react and create something towards that. And obviously, there are other important things, but that's fundamental,
Absolutely.
So I realized that at an early age, I was an only boy, and the time where they were recruiting people that were my age, and I was trying to and I felt almost responsible for my family, and I saw close friends die and things like that. And at the time, it was just another day, right?
Yeah.
But then I realized later on of how I threw myself into exercising and taking care of my health, even though it stemmed from a terrible origin. It actually became the foundation of where I am today with my health. So a terrible thing, and this is how sometimes trauma can produce positive results.
Absolutely.
And I have other things that I'm dealing with as a result of that. But in general, so going down that rabbit hole and trying to explore where everything, it was basically my whole health and well-being journey started as a protective mechanism. I wanted to be as strong as possible because I don't know what was coming.
What was going to come. And that was your defense mechanism.
Yes,
wow.
Exactly, which then turned into this, which is, it's amazing, and it's one of many ways of how life surprises you, and it's always when you look back and you see the journey.
And I love that you made this connection, because quite often I see a similar connection with people who are trying to quit smoking, let's say, or any kind of addiction. Even though the habit, like logically we know, okay, smoking is bad, but it's the association of it is what's more important.
Right.
And that that makes it hard to break it. So for example, in your case, it's excellent that you picked up a great habit, which is exercising, and okay, it's given you great results and so on. But had you picked up smoking instead, it would have been a different story, right?
Exactly.
And that's because the association to it. So stress and the habit that you picked up to create something else. So in a lot of cases, if hypothetically you were an introvert when you were growing up and you never had friends, and one day you met a group of friends, but in order to be part of that group, you had to be drinking, and then that's how you picked up social drinking. And now, 5 years later or 10 years later, you're a heavy drinker, and now you want to stop. But then you are in a dilemma. Do I give up drinking? But if I give up drinking, I will have to give up my friends.
Right.
Now, because of that, you will not give up drinking. And this keeps you in that cycle.
Yes,
and this is typically what happens in a lot of people who then later on in life who try to go into their past and look into things. They often find a little bit of a dilemma where they need to sacrifice one area of their life for something else. So maybe right now, I'm just generalizing.
Yeah, of course.
Perhaps you have a great healthy lifestyle and so on and so forth, but because it was in some way like a defense mechanism, other areas of your life
100%.
probably had to take a back seat.
And I know exactly what these are, but I'm not ready to talk about them yet. But I know definitely, there were others. I mean, it makes me who I am, and thankfully, it's nothing terrible.
Yeah.
But obviously, there are lots of things that I need to unpack and deal with, and all of that. So there's a couple of things that I want to, because you touched on addiction a little bit, and we'll come back to that in a minute. But there's one particular thing that I've been thinking about recently, seeing people of why they don't take up a healthier lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Now, the way I think about this, and maybe we could discuss this a little bit, because for most people, what happens is that, we're always seeking validation, any sort of validation, right? Now, in general, for people, especially people, and this is not shaming anyone, or we all go through this, especially people that are ill of some sort, right? It's much easier when you're sick, it's much safer to get sympathy for that, which then feeds that validation that you need, rather than to be admired, because with that, you also risk criticism.
Yeah.
So if I really take care of myself and I'm healthy and there's nothing wrong with me and I don't need sympathy for being sick, and I don't identify as being sick, but I identify as being healthy, which is our natural state.
Yes.
But there's so much reward in being sick.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that you mentioned this, because you see this a lot in people. For instance, let's say you are the oldest child of the family, and therefore all of your siblings, so you had to be the caretaker in many ways. Now you can imagine what happens to someone in a family who constantly had to give. And because they're the oldest, their needs were probably ignored or not prioritized. Subconsciously, being sick becomes the only reason for them to ask for attention, ask for a reason for other people to take care of them, because they never got into the habit or the opportunity to receive or to ask for what they wanted. So you see this a lot in people like that, where they use illness as a reason to get what they want, which they never used to get before.
The important thing here to say, though, they're not aware.
Yeah, they're not aware.
We're
exactly.
not aware.
It's not done consciously at all.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and then they perpetuate it.
Exactly.
So we put ourselves in roles, and the role that is most rewarding is the one that we stick with, depending where you are in your state of mind and in your supportive community. That's why I say it's super important to remove toxicity from your body, but also from your life. Like, it has to be, toxicity is not something, because we're always exposed to toxicity when it comes to our bodies. Nature is designed that way. And you always have to strengthen your immunity in order to deal with it.
Absolutely.
In that same if you use that same logic to your life, you also need to increase your immunity,
Yes.
as in your emotional state,
Yeah.
to be able to deal with toxic individuals.
Yeah.
So if you have a supporting community, you hopefully don't need to play a role where you're seeking validation through an ailment or you not being sick.
Yeah.
And then the other side of this that I see regularly with people, and I would love your thoughts on it, is what we're really, really good at it, all of us, without exception. Like one of the top skills that we have is being able to come up with excuses. You know, it's a top skill. I'm definitely guilty of that, and everyone is the same. You know, when you think of why you don't do something that is good for you, and you think of, if you say them out loud, you almost laugh out loud because you think that was ridiculous, you know? I didn't want to wake up half an hour earlier because I need my, or whatever it is that they come up with as a I can't think of some because I'm freakishly like waking up early. So it's not a great example, but you know what I mean, right? As far as the excuses that we give ourselves. The gym is too far. You know, I'm okay with this. It's okay if I have the sniffles. Not sleeping, everyone's not sleeping, or whatever it is, you know? We give ourselves excuses that are ridiculous. How can you break that cycle?
Okay, I love this question because this is something that I recently, I guess a couple of months ago, I read this excellent book and they broke this down so well and it was such a big aha moment for me. And it's the concept of guilt and innocence and where that comes from. So this is a part of our journey from being a child to an adult. Now, if you look at children, right, when they're born, they are the most innocent beings that you can see, which means they ask for what they want. Everything is done for them, and it's out of pure innocence. Now, through different inhibitions and challenges, you then unlearn it, or then you build defenses that make you inhibit that kind of childlike nature, which is about me, and then you are taught, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, And then you move into guilt, which means anytime you are faced with a choice, if you know that you have a choice and it's completely in your control and you do not make that choice, then you will feel guilt.
Right.
Which means in order to not face that guilt and to move into the concept of innocence, which is actually quite addictive, moving into that childlike state,
you need to find an excuse.
You would find excuses.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I like that. I like that a lot.
Right? And this is what we do in relationships, in everything. And this is where our defenses come into play.
Right.
Because we're constantly at a subconscious level always trying to feel innocent, and we don't even realize it. And we can find all the logical, valid reasoning for it, but it comes down to our inability.
Right. That's so awesome. I love that. Now, you and I both agree that we're not lovers of medication, right?
I agree.
To say the least, right?
But I also want to put a disclaimer. I would never say don't take medication. I mean, if you're getting a heart attack, I would never say sit there and meditate. I would say go to the doctor, do what you need to do.
Obviously.
But I'm a strong believer of prevention is better than cure.
Very 100%. And everyone plays a role, right? So the body is so complex that sometimes you need chemical intervention for certain things. 100%. But it should definitely not be your first, your second, your third, your fourth choice. Like, you know what I mean? It's everyone plays a role in this.
Absolutely.
So saying that, not a great love or fan of medications, I had you try a couple of products today.
Yeah.
The Neurovisor and the Palsetto.
Yeah.
I just wanted your feedback on what you thought of them as...
Okay, so this is my honest feedback.
Yeah, cool.
You did not pay me to do this. This is not a sponsorship at all. I've seen this online, but I've never tried it on myself, but I tried it for the first time. And both of them are so unique in itself. I'll start with the Palsetto. Now, what this does, or what I experienced, is when you put that on me, it was stimulating my vagus nerve.
Right.
Now, the immediate sensation, or what I realized, it's an excellent tool that you can use if you're one of those people, or if you're, let's say, you're in a very stressful situation, super anxious, and you just immediately need to calm down or reset. It actually gets you so grounded to your body and away from your thoughts.
Because it drives your attention to a particular spot.
Because you
right?
have a point to focus on, and that's the nature of the mind. Because you need to give your mind something to think about, and this does exactly that.
And stimulating that nerve stimulates all sorts of benefits across the whole body.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. But we have to remember, though, that it's a therapy. It's not like because we have trouble sometimes differentiating between a therapy and medication.
Yeah.
When someone is using some of this, anything that I have, anything that I use for well-being, be it ice bath or sauna or hyperbaric or any of this stuff, compression, all of the stuff that we do, they think that if I use it once, I'm going to get all of the results that I'm expecting from it.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between a chemical that stimulates an immediate an immediate feedback, if you like, while it's doing all of other things, versus a therapy that gradually changes a particular state. So this is a therapy too. You just have to use it fairly regularly.
Exactly.
And I know a lot of people that swear by it.
Yeah.
I use it occasionally, and I quite like it because obviously there are lots of natural ways that you could stimulate your vagus nerve.
Exactly.
And some of them are really easy, like jumping up and down, or just if you're active, you're generally also stimulating your vagus nerve.
Exactly.
So, but this is like an added angle to that.
Exactly. And it's one of it's a tool that you can use, which is fairly healthy. It has no side effects per se. I guess the only thing that comes to mind is the dependency. And this is probably what you meant, like looking at it from a therapy perspective and not using it, or at least doing it with the mindset that it shouldn't be used as a crutch in any way, and you have to be aware of why you're using it and how often you're using it, because the worst thing you want to do is feel addicted to it.
Right.
And
what about Neurovisor? What do you think of that?
Okay, I think I must say, out of the two, this one is my favorite.
Oh, really?
Because it felt very similar to a hypnotic induction for me, because it got the graphic or the lights kind of stimulated different patterns.
You saw mandalas and stuff,
it
right?
was
Like you
so
saw
many different patterns, and because you couldn't predict what patterns were coming next, it was very engaging.
Yeah.
And because it was so engaging and it was so quick, you can't keep up with it after some time. And naturally, because you can't keep up with it, you kind of let yourself go.
Yes.
And that's exactly what happens in a hypnotic induction.
Yeah.
You have your stimulating phase, and then you just kind of give in, and then you become more receptive. And because of that, I can see how effective it can be. Like a 5-minute session of that, I didn't even realize the time fly by.
Yeah.
It was 5 minutes, and it felt like I was in a different...
I have to say that it's the same for me, especially with the noise-canceling headphones. You kind of move out of space and time, and it becomes something else, which is incredible because you're no longer in touch with your senses. So I don't want it to sound like it's it's a process, but it's definitely one of my favorite toys to use.
And I do feel like it is also important to use it wisely as well, because I usually tell people, anyone who's going through depression, I often advise them not to do meditation, because meditation is a dissociative practice and depression is a dissociative disorder.
Right.
So using something like this is also making you more dissociated.
Right.
Where I would recommend, if you have depression, use falsetto instead.
Right, of course.
Right? And
that's great advice.
Yeah.
That's great advice. And I think for anything that you use, you need guidance. So ask the questions. Reach out to your first, to your favorite coach, to your any advisor, really.
And also, why are you? why are you doing this? Like, what is your purpose? So if I were to do it, I should be very mindful of, okay, why do I need this right now?
Yes, it's not a trend.
Exactly.
It's not a trend. So everything needs to be done with purpose, for sure. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
This has been
Doctor.
so amazing.
No, likewise.
I've had so much fun. I can't believe the time just flew by.
Likewise.
So thank you so much. And I can't wait for us to do a little bit more of this. There's so many topics that we haven't covered. And I think hopefully we will next time.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining
Thank you
us.
for your time. It was a pleasure.
Yes, thank you. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining for this. I can't wait for you to see it. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one.